Hey everybody, this is Greg Coil, Director of Nature Reliance School. We are coming to you today to show you the top 5 ways to coil and store a rope so it never looks like this. One of the first things you should do, and this is not how to coil it, but it's something that you need to be doing with a rope, is what's referred to as flaking it. So you can toss your rope down behind you, bring it up over your shoulder. This is just one way to do this. And as you pull it over your shoulder, you feel for kinks and twist. This is a brand new rope, and I picked it brand new, so I knew what, see there's a kink. I need to get that kink out. Once I get that, I can twist opposite of the way the twist is in the rope, and then no longer is the kink there. Continue to do that. That way if I find any kinks or twists, like I've got one coming up my back right now, it fell apart. But all this is good, makes it easy. There's a little twist. And again, if my rope is twisted this way, you can see that twist in it. Basically, I just reverse it so that it lays straight. There's a bunch of knots. Usually, keep this in mind, usually most knots can be pulled apart by just shaking. This one, I can tell, is going to be one that's not. But usually you can just jiggle a rope and all those twists will come out of it. So again, all I'm doing is trying to straighten my rope. Now we have a good rope to start with. Now keep in mind that I have purchased about 50 foot of rope, and I got these colors just so it's easy for you to see against these leaves and backdrop and what have you. It doesn't matter if you got 400 foot of rope, this is going to work. Some of these are a little bit more difficult than others. The first one is what's referred to as the common coil. All you want to do is pull out, somewhere around a meter of rope. That's about an arm's length, maybe slightly longer, and let that hang in your hand. And then I pull out something that looks like this so that I get the standard length of rope every time. And then place where my left hand was directly in my right hand. Then do it again. And that helps to serve, as we're doing this, that all those come out exactly the same. You can see those twists. I'm going to work those twists out as we get in there too. Again, getting that same measurement right there every time. And as I'm laying it in my hand, I'm not just bunching it up here together, I'm laying these out consecutively along my hand so that it's not going to be bunched up when I need to use it. This is called the common coil. Now you'll see some of these twists. When you see those, basically go back and just twist it again opposite to where you had it, and everything will lay in there nicely. Now when you get to the end, you have another meter of rope. Just make a bite, stick it back through the main portion of your rope, and take that loose end and stick it through that bite. What you have something you can then hang up your rope. If you want to, you can tie an overhand knot in this if you want to actually hang on something. But this is real easy for you to put in your pack or something of that nature, and particularly very easy to untie. Now the next one is called the mountaineer's coil. And basically you just take a small segment of it and put it in your hand and wrap it across your body. I put this side on top on my dominant side because I'm right-handed. And in essence what you're going to do is you just put it down in your hand. You're going to use your elbow as a key point, a focus point, and then just wrap it around your body. If you get good at this, it goes pretty quick. But consistently what I'm doing is I'm pushing this out so we have a consistent roll. Now, the problem with this is that it's going to run into where there's a bunch of twists. And those twists is what you're trying to avoid with coiling a rope anyway. So make sure that as you're doing this, if you want a rope that's not going to have twists in it, I would choose one of the other methods. Once you've done all that, you can simply just pull it off your body and you've got your rope coiled. And I don't know all the names for the way to tie these off, but basically this is real similar to setting up a whipping knot. In essence, I create a bite right there and I wrap my rope around my coiled rope. This is my working end that I'm working with here. and you take the working end, stick it through there, which is the eye of the whip, and then you pull the other portion down, and now you got a coiled rope and everything's together. Again, just to pull it apart, you just pull the eye out and you're ready to go. So the next one, actually it's the next two, there's two variations. I'm going to show you both. It's called the Alpine, sometimes the butterfly coil. In essence, what you do is you pull out 2 strands of rope, throw that over your head. You're leaving that 2 strands over here on one side, and then you're going to switch between each of your hands. So right now I've got it in my right hand. Now I've switched it off to my left. Do the same thing. Keep getting basically 2 arms length of rope, throwing it over my neck. And your goal should be that all that is stacking on top of itself behind my neck. Now, if you've got long hair, this is one of those things that you want to put it under your hood or put a helmet on or something of that nature so you don't get your hair tangled in it. But once that is done, you're then going to take it off. The easiest way I found to take it off is to just bend over and get it over top of my head, and now I've got it here in the middle, and I'm going to show you how to make a backpack out of this. Now keep in mind, this is just 50 foot of rope. It's a real short rope, but this is one of the best ways if you've got 200 foot, 300 foot of rope. It's going to work exceptionally well. One of the reasons that people put it over their neck is that you can do a common coil and hold it in your arm, but when you've got 200 foot of rope, your arm gets really tired and gets heavy. So putting it over your neck, you use your body to hold it. Keep that in mind. Again, I've only got 50 foot of rope for our purposes here today. But the next step is you've found your center, because that's what was behind your neck, and you wrap your coil around your rope. You basically take your 2 loose ends, take them up your rope. Now you can take your time and make this exceptionally pretty. For our purposes, we're not looking at mountaineering or search and rescue or anything of that nature. If you're going to do that, you're going to take a lot more time. We're just looking at survival, camping, stuff of that nature. So make a bite and stick that through that hole. Once you do that, take your other ends and stick them back through the bite that you just made, and then you can cinch that up and you've got your coil of rope. It's going to be exceptionally useful for camping, farming, homesteading, whatever you might want to need it for. Now, if you want to hang this on a nail or off a rack of your vehicle or something of that nature, you can always tie a square knot or an overhand knot or whatever you want to with the 2 ends. This next one, again, is a variation of the Alpine butterfly, but instead of starting on the end, we're going to start in the middle. Now, most people, when they get a rope, they will find the center of the rope, the middle of it, and they'll mark it with a marker or a piece of tape or any number of things. And I haven't done that because I bought this rope on the way here for the sole purpose of showing you how to flake it and get some of those kinks and stuff of that nature out. But I normally mark my ropes, and I will this one when I get done with it. So again, I'm going to pull that out, arm's length, 2 arms length, put that over my neck. The beauty of doing this one is that as I do this, I'm taking up 2 strands. It's a lot faster, and it still functions just as well as the one we just did. Now, just bend my neck over, get the rope up off of my neck, and find the center of it. Now, I find my 2 ends, and I'm going to show you how to make that backpack that I mentioned before. Now, with the center of it, I wrap it just like I did before. But again, I'm working with 2 ends now. Pretty it up, stick my bite through. Now I can stick my ends back through here. In essence, I put that on my back, bring it across, wrap it, tie it in the back, or bring it around back and then back through and tie it on front of me. Now the other thing I want to point out to you is that what you can also do with this bite is once you make your bite, you stick it through and immediately wrap that up and over completely your rope, so that in essence that is holding it all together. Stick your ends through on top, and you can do the same thing with just a slight variation. Now the last one's not a way to keep most of the kinks out, but it's a way of coiling rope. I don't know that I would utilize this for ropes as much as I would use it for maybe paracord or something like that. I'm gonna store a lot in my pack and want to have the ability to access it rapidly. But this is a bite. A bite is where you take two pieces of rope, stick them together, and they don't cross. Take that bite and create a loop. A loop is where the ropes actually cross. So bring the other end back through that loop, and then just repeatedly reach through and pull it through. In essence, what you're going to have in short order is your rope coiled in such a way that it's not going to be flopping around and get tangled, and it's going to be incredibly easy to deploy. I'll notice that a lot of electricians utilize this for coiling extension cords and stuff of that nature. The beauty of it is I've just doubled it. You can quadruple it so that every time you're pulling through, you're pulling 4 strands through instead of just 2. Once you get to the end, you just pull this through and it's going to stay together. So now I've got everything coiled together rather easily. The beauty of it is this: when I pull my strands out real quick like, the rope comes undone. So now I've got a complete rope completely undone. Well, I hope that helps. Our goal always is to help you develop your materials, your skills, so that you get out more often. And then if you've got your rope coiled up and you can deploy it rapidly, then you're going to be out more often and practicing knots and tying down tarps and tying down loads of hay or whatever it might be. And we want to help you with that. Just keep in mind that particularly the daisy chain will create a lot more kinks in the rope. And you know that old version of putting it in your arm and just wrapping around your elbow and your hand? That's one of the worst things you can do to put kinks in the rope. That's why I didn't even show it. It's real simple, and a lot of people do it that way, but man, that creates a lot of kinks in your rope. So keep those things in mind. And also keep in mind, these are not methods for search and rescue and rappelling and climbing and stuff of that nature, although that's where they're born out of. If you're going to utilize those methods, you need to refine them and be real cognizant of your rope. Particularly one of the things that I used to do when I used to lead a lot of challenge course stuff is, as I'm flaking it, we had to look at every 12 inches and inspect it visually to make sure there's no problem with the rope, because you know your life depends upon that. And so as we're doing the flaking, instead of just getting kinks out, I'm visually inspecting, make sure there's not any abrasion to it, there's no rocks in it or stuff of that nature. That way we're always safe if we're going to hang off rope. But learn those methods from a search and rescue instructor, not from me. All we're trying to do is help those with camping and hiking and backpacking and farming and all that stuff. As always with Nature Reliance School, come on, join in. Let's learn together.